stranded on a hostile world. The violet sky of Nexus Prime crackled with eldritch energy as Zara's ship plummeted through the atmosphere. Warning klaxons blared throughout the cockpit, their urgent cries a stark counterpoint to the eerie silence of space that had preceded this disaster. Zara's 4 arms worked frantically across the control panel, her iridescent scales flickering with stress bioluminescence as she fought to stabilize the craft. Come on, she muttered, her melodic voice strained with desperation. The ship bucked and shuddered, systems failing one by one as it spiraled towards the planet's surface. Zara had known this solar scouting mission would be dangerous, but nothing could have prepared her for the sudden and catastrophic failure that now threatened to end her life. As the ground rushed up to meet her, Zara caught glimpses of a landscape both beautiful and terrifying. Crystalline forests glittered beneath the alien sun, their razor-sharp branches reaching skyward like the grasping fingers of some colossal beast. Pools of liquid metal dotted the terrain, their surfaces rippling with otherworldly patterns that seemed to defy the laws of physics. With a deafening crash, the ship impacted the surface of Nexus Prime. The reinforced hull crumpled like paper, screeching as it tore through the crystalline vegetation. Zara was thrown against her restraints, the world spinning around her in a kaleidoscope of pain and disorientation. As the ship finally skidded to a halt, an eerie silence fell, broken only by the hiss of escaping gases and the ping of cooling metal. For several long moments, Zara hung limply in her seat, her consciousness flickering like a dying star. The acrid smell of burnt circuitry filled the air, mingling with the alien sense of Nexus Prime that seeped in through the ruptured hull. Slowly, painfully, she raised her head, assessing the damage to both herself and her vessel. "Status report," she croaked, her voice barely above a whisper. The ship's AI, normally a constant presence, remained ominously silent. Zara's heart sank as she realized the full extent of her predicament. She was alone, injured, and stranded on one of the most dangerous planets in charted space. With trembling limbs, Zara unclasped her restraints and stumbled to her feet. Every movement sent waves of pain through her battered body, but she forced herself to focus. Survival was her only priority now. She made her way to the emergency supply locker, relieved to find it mostly intact. As she gathered essential supplies, her mind raced through everything she knew about Nexus Prime. The planet was a scientific enigma, its unique properties making it both a treasure trove of potential discoveries and a death trap for the unprepared. Its atmosphere, while breathable, was laced with trace elements that could have unpredictable effects on alien physiology. The flora and fauna were equally mysterious, having evolved in isolation for millions of years. Zara's species, the Lyrani, were known for their adaptability and resilience, but even they approached Nexus Prime with extreme caution. As she donned a protective suit and prepared to leave the relative safety of her ruined ship, Zara couldn't help but feel a flicker of fear. She was about to step into an environment that had claimed the lives of countless explorers before her. The airlock hissed open, and Zara took her first steps onto the surface of Nexus Prime. The ground beneath her feet had an odd, spongy texture, and she could feel subtle vibrations traveling up through her legs. The air was thick with an electric charge that made her scales tingle uncomfortably. In the distance, she could see storm clouds gathering, flashes of otherworldly lightning illuminating their roiling depths. "Focus, Zara," she told herself, forcing her scientific curiosity to take a backseat to survival instincts. Her first priority was to find shelter and establish a base of operations. The ship was too damaged to serve as a long-term refuge, and she knew the volatile weather of Nexus Prime could turn deadly at a moment's notice. As she scanned the horizon, Zara's keen eyes spotted a promising formation of crystal growths. They formed a natural arch, beneath which she could see the dark mouth of a cave. It wasn't ideal, but it would provide protection from the elements and a defensible position from which to plan her next move. Gathering her supplies, Zara set off towards the cave. Each step was a challenge, the alien terrain seeming to shift and change beneath her feet. The crystalline vegetation chimed softly as she passed, creating an eerie melody that set her nerves on edge. She couldn't shake the feeling that she was being watched, unseen eyes tracking her progress across the strange landscape. Halfway to the cave, a piercing shriek split the air. Zara froze, her head whipping around to locate the source of the sound. From the liquid metal pools she had observed earlier, a creature was emerging. It was like nothing Zara had ever seen before, a chimera of organic and inorganic matter. Its body was a shifting mass of metallic tendrils, crowned by a cluster of sensor organs that pulsed with an inner light. The creature turned towards Zara, its senses focusing on her with predatory intensity. In that moment, Zara understood with crystal clarity that she was no longer just an explorer or a scientist. On Nexus Prime, she was prey. Abandoning all thoughts of caution, Zara broke into a run. Her forelegs propelled her across the treacherous terrain with a speed born of desperation. Behind her, she could hear the liquid slither of the creature's approach, punctuated by those bone-chilling shrieks. The cave loomed ahead, a promise of safety if she could just reach it in time. As Zara neared the crystal arch, she risked a glance over her shoulder. The sight nearly stopped her hearts. The creature had grown, absorbing material from its surroundings as it pursued her. It was now a towering monstrosity, its metallic body reflecting the alien sunlight in dazzling, deadly patterns. With a final burst of speed, Zara hurled herself into the cave. She tumbled to the ground, her breath coming in ragged gasps as she scrambled deeper into the darkness. The creature's shrieks echoed off the cave walls, growing louder as it approached the entrance. Zara pressed herself against the far wall, her eyes wide with terror as she waited for the inevitable. But the attack never came. The creature's cries took on a frustrated tone, and Zara realized with a jolt of hope that it was too large to enter the cave. For long minutes, she listened as it raged outside, its metallic tendrils scraping against the crystal arch in futile attempts to reach her. Eventually, mercifully, the sounds began to recede. As silence fell once more, Zara allowed herself to relax slightly. She was safe for now, but the reality of her situation came crashing down upon her. She was stranded on a hostile alien world, with no way to call for help and no guarantee of rescue. Her only hope lay in her own ingenuity and the slim chance that someone might pick up the automated distress beacon from her ship. As the adrenaline of her narrow escape began to fade, exhaustion took its place. Zara knew she needed to rest and recover if she was to have any hope of survival. She set up a small perimeter of warning sensors at the cave entrance, then retreated to the back where she could establish a makeshift camp. As she lay down on her bedroll, Zara's thoughts turned to her home, to the family and colleagues who might never know what had become of her. She thought of the wonders and terrors she had already witnessed on this strange world, and of the challenges that lay ahead. With a mixture of fear and determination, Zara closed her eyes, allowing herself to drift into a fitful sleep. In her dreams, she saw the liquid metal creatures pursuing her across an endless crystalline plain. But there was something else too, a presence she couldn't quite grasp. A figure, alien yet somehow familiar, reaching out to her across the vast distances of space. As Zara slept, the storm outside the cave grew in intensity, and somewhere in the galaxy, a signal began its long journey across the stars, a call for help that would set in motion events beyond her wildest imagination. An unexpected savior. The steady hum of the Starship Horizon's engines was a comforting constant in the life of Finn Cassidy. As he sat in the cockpit, his calloused fingers dancing over the holographic controls, he felt more at home than he ever had on Earth. The vast expanse of space stretched out before him, a canvas of infinite possibilities that never failed to fill him with a sense of wonder. Finn was a freelance explorer, one of a new breed of humans who had taken to the stars in search of adventure, knowledge, and the thrill of the unknown. His ship, the Horizon, was a testament to human ingenuity, a compact vessel packed with cutting-edge technology that allowed him to venture further into uncharted space than any government-sanctioned mission would dare. As he guided the horizon through a particularly dense asteroid field, a notification flashed on his heads-up display. Finn frowned, adjusting the ship's sensors to focus on the anomalous signal. It was faint, barely detectable above the background radiation of space, but it was unmistakably a distress beacon. Well, Finn muttered to himself, a mix of excitement and concern coloring his voice. What have we got here? He ran the signal through the ship's database, eyebrows rising as the results came back. The beacon's signature matched no known human or allied alien frequencies. Whatever was sending out that call for help, it was something, or someone, entirely new. The source of the signal traced back to a system that made Finn whistle in appreciation. Nexus Prime, a planet infamous among explorers for its hostile environment and unexplained phenomena. Many had tried to unlock its secrets. Few had returned to tell the tale. For a moment, Finn hesitated. The smart move would be to alert the proper authorities and continue on his way. But the thrill of discovery, the chance to be the first human to make contact with a new alien species, was too tempting to resist. With a grin that was equal parts excitement and nervousness, Finn set a course for Nexus Prime. As the horizon approached the planet, Finn's sensors came alive with data. The atmosphere was a swirling maelstrom of energy, and the surface readings were like nothing he had ever seen before. Landing was going to be tricky, but Finn had never been one to shy away from a challenge. "All right, old girl," he said, patting the ship's console affectionately. "Let's show them what we're made of." The descent through Nexus Prime's atmosphere was harrowing. The horizon bucked and shuddered, alarms blaring as the ship's systems struggled to compensate for the unpredictable conditions. Finn's hands flew over the controls, his years of experience the only thing keeping them from being torn apart. As they broke through the cloud cover, Finn got his first view of the planet's surface. It was breathtaking, a landscape of crystalline structures that glittered beneath an alien sun, interspersed with pools of what appeared to be liquid metal. And there, amidst the otherworldly terrain, he saw it, the wreckage of a ship unlike any he had ever seen before. Finn brought the horizon down a safe distance from the crash site, his heart pounding with a mixture of anticipation and trepidation. As he donned his exosuit and prepared to step out onto the surface of Nexus Prime, he couldn't help but feel that he was about to change the course of human history. The moment Finn's boots touched the planet's surface, he felt a strange vibration travel up through his legs. The air crackled with an electric charge that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Every instinct screamed at him that this place was dangerous, but Finn pressed on, his curiosity overriding his fear. As he approached the wreckage, his suit's sensors picked up signs of life. Weak, but unmistakably there. Finn quickened his pace, scrambling over the twisted metal and shattered crystal growths. That's when he saw her, an alien creature, clearly injured, huddled in the remains of what must have been the ship's cockpit. Zora's eyes widened as she saw the strange figure approaching. Her first instinct was to flee, but her injuries and exhaustion left her no choice but to stay put. As the being drew closer, she realized with a jolt that she was looking at a species she had never encountered before. Finn held up his hands in what he hoped was a universal gesture of peace. "Hey there," he said softly, knowing his words wouldn't be understood, but hoping his tone would convey his intentions. "I'm here to help. Are you okay?" Zora tilted her head, studying the alien before her. Its body was so different from her own. Only 2 arms and 2 legs, covered in some kind of protective suit. But there was something in its stance, in the way it approached her, that spoke of intelligence and concern. Slowly, cautiously, Zara extended one of her 4 hands towards the strange being. Finn, understanding the gesture, gently took her hand in his own. The moment of contact sent a shiver through both of them, the first touch between 2 species separated by light years of space and millennia of evolution. "Okay," Finn said, nodding encouragingly. "Let's get you out of here and somewhere safe. My ship's not far." As if in response to his words, a piercing shriek split the air. Finn whirled around to see a nightmarish creature emerging from one of the liquid metal pools. Its body was a writhing mass of metallic tendrils, topped by a cluster of pulsing sensor organs. "Oh hell," Finn muttered, his mind racing to process this new threat. He turned back to Zara, gesturing urgently. "We need to move. Now." Understanding the danger even as she couldn't comprehend his words, Zara struggled to her feet. Finn quickly moved to support her, draping one of her arms over his shoulders. Together, they began to make their way towards the horizon as fast as Zara's injuries would allow. Behind them, the creature gave chase. Its liquid metal body flowed over the terrain with terrifying speed, absorbing and incorporating materials as it went. Finn's suit sensors screamed warnings as the atmosphere around them began to change, the creature's presence somehow altering the very fabric of reality. Come on," Finn urged, half carrying Zara as they neared the horizon. The ship's ramp was already lowering, its automated systems responding to the approaching threat. With a final burst of speed, they stumbled up the ramp and into the safety of the ship. Finn slammed his hand on the emergency close button, and the ramp sealed shut just as the creature reached them. The whole ship shuddered as the being slammed against its hull, its metallic tendrils searching for a way in. Finn wasted no time, rushing to the cockpit with Zara still clinging to him. He dropped into the pilot's seat, his hands flying over the controls. The Horizon's engines roared to life, and with a gut-wrenching lurch, they lifted off from the surface of Nexus Prime. The creature's shrieks faded as they ascended through the atmosphere, but Finn didn't relax until they were safely in orbit. Only then did he turn to his unexpected passenger, who was staring at him with a mixture of fear, gratitude, and fascination. "Well," Finn said, a slightly hysterical laugh bubbling up in his chest, "that was one hell of a rescue mission. I'm Finn, by the way, Finn Cassidy. Welcome aboard the Horizon." Zara, of course, couldn't understand his words, but she recognized the introduction for what it was. She placed a hand on her chest and said clearly, "Zara." Finn grinned, nodding. "Zara, nice to meet you. I have a feeling we've got quite the adventure ahead of us." As the Horizon set a course away from Nexus Prime, neither Finn nor Zara could have imagined the true scope of the journey they were embarking on. Their chance encounter would not only change their lives, but would set in motion events that would reshape the relationship between their species and the very future of the galaxy itself. Cultural exchange and growing trust. The days that followed Zara's rescue were a whirlwind of discovery and challenges for both her and Finn. The Horizon's medical bay, while advanced by human standards, was ill-equipped to deal with Zara's alien physiology. Finn found himself having to improvise, using a combination of the ship's AI analysis and his own intuition to treat her injuries. Zara, for her part, was equally fascinated and wary of her human savior. She watched with keen interest as Finn worked, her scientist's mind cataloging every detail of his appearance and behavior. The differences between their species were stark, from the number of limbs to the texture of their skin, but she found herself drawn to the similarities. The determination in Finn's eyes, the careful precision of his movements, these were traits she recognized and respected. Communication was their first major hurdle. Finn's ship was equipped with a basic universal translator, but it had never encountered Zara's language before. They started with gestures and simple drawings, slowly building a rudimentary vocabulary. One morning, as far as such concepts existed in space, Finn entered the medical bay to find Zara examining the translator device with intense curiosity. Her 4 hands moved deftly over its surface, and to Finn's amazement, she had managed to access its core programming. "Whoa there," Finn said, moving quickly to her side. "Careful with that. It's not exactly." He was cut off as the device suddenly sprang to life, emitting a series of complex tones and light patterns. Zara responded with her own melodic language, and the device hummed as it processed the input. Suddenly, Zara's voice emerged from the translator, stilted but understandable. Greetings, Finn Cassidy. I believe I have improved your communication device. Finn's jaw dropped. You fixed it. Just like that. Zora's bioluminescent scales flickered in what Finn was beginning to recognize as amusement. Your technology is fascinating, but somewhat primitive by my people's standards. I hope you do not take offense. Offense? Are you kidding? Finn laughed, shaking his head in wonder. This is amazing. Do you have any idea how much this will help us understand each other? With the language barrier significantly reduced, Finn and Zora began to share their knowledge and experiences in earnest. Zora explained that she was a xenobiologist from a species called the Lyrani, on a solo mission to study the unique ecosystem of Nexus Prime. Finn, in turn, told her about humanity's relatively recent emergence onto the galactic stage and his own role as an independent explorer. As they talked, Finn couldn't help but notice the way Zara's eyes lit up when discussing scientific concepts. Her passion for knowledge matched his own, and he found himself drawn into lengthy discussions about the differences between their technologies and the mysteries of the universe they'd both sought to unravel. One day, as Finn was showing Zora around the engine room of the Horizon, she stopped suddenly, her scales shifting to a deep blue that Finn had come to associate with concern. Finn, she said, her voice serious. I must ask, why did you risk your life to save me? Our species have never met before. You had no obligation to help. Finn was quiet for a moment, considering his answer. You know, where I come from, as an old saying, no man is an island. I've always believed that extends to all sentient beings. We're all in this vast, mysterious universe together. How could I ignore someone in need, no matter how different they might look? Zora's scales flickered through a range of colors as she processed his words. Your philosophy is admirable, and not so different from my own people's beliefs. Perhaps our species are more alike than we first thought. As the days turned into weeks, Finn and Zora fell into a comfortable routine. They spent their time upgrading the Horizon's systems with Zora's advanced knowledge, analyzing the data from Nexus Prime, and sharing stories of their respective cultures. Finn taught Zora about human music and art, while Zora introduced him to Lyrani meditation techniques that she claimed could enhance cognitive function. However, their peaceful coexistence was not destined to last. One cycle, as they were reviewing the sensor logs from their escape from Nexus Prime, Zora noticed something odd. Finn, she said, her voice tight with concern. Look at this energy signature. It's not natural. Finn leaned forward, his curiosity piqued. You think they're connected to what's happening on Nexus Prime? Agent Chen nodded. It's possible. We've been calling it Project Eclipse, though that's just a code name. We don't know who's behind it or what their ultimate goal is. Zora's scales flickered with intense colors as she processed this information. This is troubling news. The level of technology required to manipulate a planet like Nexus Prime, it far exceeds even my people's capabilities. Which is why we need your help, Agent Chen said, looking between Finn and Zora. Your unique combination of skills and knowledge might be the key to unraveling this mystery. Finn exchanged a glance with Zora, seeing his own mix of excitement and apprehension mirrored in her alien features. What exactly are you proposing? A joint operation, Chen replied. We'll provide you with resources and backup. In return, you'll act as our field agents, investigating leads and gathering intel. After a moment of silent communication, Finn and Zora agreed. What had started as a chance encounter had now evolved into a full-fledged interstellar investigation. Their first mission took them to a remote research station orbiting a gas giant in the Epsilon Eridani system. Reports of strange energy fluctuations and missing personnel had drawn the attention of Earth intelligence. As the Horizon approached the station, Finn felt a familiar thrill of adventure, tinged with a new sense of purpose. Beside him, Zora monitored the sensor readings, her forearms moving gracefully over the controls. I'm detecting unusual radiation patterns, she reported, similar to what we saw on Nexus Prime, but more concentrated. Finn nodded grimly. Looks like we're on the right track. Let's suit up and head in. The interior of the station was eerily quiet. Emergency lights cast long shadows as Finn and Zara made their way through the corridors, their footsteps echoing in the emptiness. "Over here," Zara called, her voice tight with excitement. She stood before a sealed door, her handheld scanner pulsing with light. "There's a massive energy source behind this door." Using a combination of Finn's hacking skills and Zara's advanced tech, they managed to bypass the security protocols. As the door slid open, they were bathed in an otherworldly blue glow. Inside, they found a sight that took their breath away. A swirling vortex of energy hung suspended in the center of the room, tendrils of light reaching out like living things. By the cosmic core, Zara breathed, her scales shimmering in response to the energy. It's a controlled quantum singularity, but the technology to create this, it shouldn't exist. Finn approached a nearby console, his fingers flying over the keys. According to these logs, they were experimenting with interdimensional travel. But why? And who authorized this? Before Zara could respond, a low rumble shook the station. Warning klaxons began to blare, and the vortex pulsed ominously. "We need to shut it down," Finn shouted over the noise. "Zara, can you make sense of these controls?" Zara rushed to his side, her 4 hands working in perfect synchronization as she interfaced with the alien technology. "I'm trying, but the system is incredibly complex. It's almost as if it's adapting to my attempts to shut it down." The vortex grew larger, the tendrils of energy lashing out with increasing violence. Equipment around the room began to spark and explode as the power surged out of control. "Finn," Zara cried, genuine fear in her voice for the first time since he'd met her. "We need to leave. Now." They ran for the exit, the station crumbling around them. Just as they reached the horizon and prepared for emergency departure, a massive explosion rocked the research station. As they sped away, watching the station tear itself apart in a spectacular display of light and energy, Finn and Zara sat in stunned silence. Finally, Finn spoke, his voice hoarse. "What the hell did we just see?" Zara's scales had dulled to a somber grey. "I believe, my friend, that we have just glimpsed the tip of a very large and dangerous iceberg. Whoever is behind Project Eclipse, they are playing with forces that could tear the very fabric of our reality apart." As the horizon limped back towards Centauri Prime, its systems strained by the close encounter, Finn and Zara knew that their adventure had taken a turn into far darker and more dangerous territory than either of them had anticipated. The fate of not just their own species, but possibly the entire galaxy, now rested on their shoulders. And somewhere out in the vast expanse of space, hidden eyes watched their retreat, and shadowy figures began to move their pieces on a cosmic chessboard beyond imagination. Finn leaned in, his brow furrowing as he studied the readout. "You're right. That's not like anything I've ever seen before. What do you think it means?" Zara's scales had shifted to a dark, troubled purple. "I'm not certain, but based on what I know of Nexus Prime's unique properties, I fear this may be evidence of deliberate interference. Someone, or something, may have been manipulating the planet's natural phenomena." "But who would have the technology to do something like that?" Finn asked, a chill running down his spine. "I don't know," Zara replied, her eyes meeting Finn's with a mixture of determination and fear. "But I think we need to find out. Whatever is happening on Nexus Prime, I don't believe my crash was an accident anymore, and I fear the implications may reach far beyond just our 2 species." Finn nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "All right then, where do we start?" "We need more information," Zara said, her scientific mind already racing with possibilities. "And for that, we may need to reach out to both our peoples. This could be bigger than either of us can handle alone." As the horizon changed course, setting off towards the nearest hub of galactic civilization, both Finn and Zara felt the subtle shift in their relationship. What had begun as a chance encounter between rescuer and rescued had evolved into a partnership, united by a common goal and a growing trust. Little did they know that their alliance would soon be tested in ways neither of them could have imagined. The mystery of Nexus Prime was just the beginning, a single thread in a vast conspiracy that threatened the delicate balance of the galaxy. As they prepared to dive deeper into the unknown, Finn and Zara found comfort in one undeniable truth: whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. Uncovering a sinister plot. The bustling spaceport of Centauri Prime was a melting pot of species from across the galaxy. As the Horizon docked, Finn couldn't help but feel a sense of pride at the awed look Zara received from the diverse crowd. Her elegant, four-armed form and iridescent scales were a striking sight even among the varied beings that called the spaceport home. "Remember," Finn said as they disembarked, "we need to be careful. If someone really is manipulating Nexus Prime, they might not take kindly to our investigation." Zara nodded, her scales shifting to a determined blue. "Agreed. We should start by accessing the central database. Perhaps there are records of other anomalies similar to what we encountered." Their first stop was the Galactic Archives, a towering structure that housed the collective knowledge of dozens of spacefaring civilizations. As they approached the main terminal, Finn noticed a group of official-looking humans watching them intently. "Uh-oh," he muttered. "Looks like we've attracted some attention." Before Zara could respond, one of the humans stepped forward. "Finn Cassidy. I'm Agent Sarah Chen, Earth Intelligence Service. We need to talk." Finn tensed, ready to make a run for it, but Zara placed a calming hand on his arm. "Perhaps we should hear them out," she suggested. "They may have information we need." Reluctantly, Finn agreed, and they were led to a private conference room. Agent Chen wasted no time getting to the point. "Mr. Cassidy, your unscheduled detour to Nexus Prime has raised a lot of red flags," she said, her voice crisp and professional. "And your new friend is of great interest to us." Zara stepped forward, her posture proud. "I am Zara, xenobiologist of the Lyrini. If you have questions, I am willing to answer them." What followed was an intense debriefing session. Finn and Zara recounted their experiences on Nexus Prime, the strange creatures they encountered, and their suspicions about external manipulation of the planet. As they spoke, Agent Chen's expression grew increasingly grave. When they finished, she sat back, her brow furrowed in concern. "What you're describing, it aligns with some of our own intelligence," she admitted. "We've been tracking a series of unusual events across several frontier systems. Unexplained phenomena, missing ships, entire colonies going dark. Alliance forged in adversity." The debriefing room at Earth Intelligence Headquarters was thick with tension. Finn and Zara sat side by side, facing a panel of grim-faced officials from various species. Their report on the Epsilon Eridani incident had sent shockwaves through the galactic community. Admiral Jenna Hawthorne, a stern-faced human with steel-grey hair, leaned forward. "Let me get this straight. You're saying that someone out there has the technology to create controlled quantum singularities, potentially for the purpose of interdimensional travel." Zara's scales rippled with affirmation. "That is correct, Admiral. The level of scientific advancement required for such feats is unprecedented." A Volcran representative, his crystalline form shimmering with agitation, chimed in. "This is preposterous. Such technology could destabilize the very fabric of spacetime. Who would dare risk such catastrophic consequences?" Finn cleared his throat. "That's the million-credit question, isn't it? Whoever they are, they've got resources, advanced tech, and clearly don't care much about collateral damage." The room erupted into heated discussions, various factions arguing about the implications and potential responses. Finn and Zara exchanged a worried glance, both feeling the weight of their discovery. Suddenly, a sharp whistle cut through the chaos. All eyes turned to a newcomer who had just entered the room. She was tall, with sleek black fur and piercing green eyes. Unmistakably a Felixi, a species known for their strategic brilliance. Ladies, gentlemen, and beings of all designations, she purred, her voice carrying an air of authority. I am Commander Mira Cole of Felix's Strategic Command, and I believe I have some information that might shed light on our mysterious adversaries. As Mira laid out her intelligence, a chilling picture began to form. A shadow organization, operating across multiple species and star systems. Codenamed the Void Walkers, they seemed to be pursuing technology that could bridge dimensions and harness the power of quantum realms. But to what end? Zara asked, her scientific curiosity piqued despite the gravity of the situation. Mira's tail switched thoughtfully. That, my dear Lyrini, is the most troubling part. Our sources suggest they believe there's something out there, beyond our dimension, something they want to wake up. A hush fell over the room as the implications sank in. Finn felt a chill run down his spine. You mean like some kind of interdimensional being? Admiral Hawthorne stood, her face set with determination. Whatever it is, we can't let them succeed. The risks are too great. We need a task force, our best and brightest, to track down these Void Walkers and put a stop to their plans. All eyes turned to Finn and Zara. You two, the Admiral continued, have first-hand experience with their technology. We need you on this team. Finn glanced at Zara, seeing his own mix of fear and excitement reflected in her alien features. They nodded in unison. We're in, Finn declared. What followed was a whirlwind of preparation. The newly formed task force, dubbed Operation Starbreak, brought together specialists from across the galaxy. Finn and Zara found themselves working alongside beings they had only heard of in legends. There was Dr. Xamtu, a quanto-assessed scientist whose tentacled form housed one of the most brilliant minds in the galaxy. Grax, a Tauran weapons specialist whose 4 arms could operate a dizzying array of weaponry with lethal precision. And Lyra Song, a human psionic prodigy whose mental abilities could detect ripples in the very fabric of spacetime. As they trained and prepared, Finn and Zara's bond deepened. They spent long hours discussing strategy, sharing stories of their respective cultures, and pondering the mysteries they faced. Finn found himself increasingly drawn to Zara's intellectual curiosity and unwavering courage, while Zara was fascinated by Finn's adaptability and innate sense of justice. One evening, as they sat in the Horizon's observation deck, watching the stars streak by, Zara turned to Finn. I've been thinking, she said, her scales shimmering with a mix of emotions. About what you said when you rescued me. About no one being an island. Finn nodded, encouraging her to continue. My people, the Lyrini, we have a similar concept, Zara explained. We believe that all life is connected, part of a grand cosmic tapestry. But I never truly understood what that meant until now. Until I met you and saw how beings from across the galaxy could come together in the face of a common threat. Finn smiled, reaching out to gently touch one of Zara's hands. I know what you mean. This whole experience, it's bigger than just our 2 species, isn't it? We're fighting for something that affects everyone, everywhere. Their moment of connection was interrupted by an urgent call from the bridge. We've got a lead. Lara's excited voice came through the comm. A Void Walker facility hidden in the Horsehead Nebula. We're mobilizing now. As they rushed to prepare for the mission, Finn and Zara shared a look of determination. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together, their alliance forged in the crucible of adversity. The Horizon, now upgraded with cutting-edge stealth technology, led the charge into the swirling gases of the Horsehead Nebula. As they approached the hidden Void Walker base, a massive structure that seemed to phase in and out of reality, the team felt a mix of anticipation and dread. Remember, Commander Mira's voice crackled over the comm. Our primary objective is to gather intelligence and, if possible, shut down their operations. We need to know what they're planning. As they prepared to infiltrate the facility, Finn turned to Zara, his expression serious. Whatever happens in there, I've got your back. Zara's scales glowed with warmth. And I, yours, Finn Cassidy. Together, we will unravel this cosmic mystery. With a hiss of depressurization, the airlock opened and Operation Starbreak began its most daring mission yet. As they stepped into the unknown, Finn and Zara knew that the fate of the galaxy, perhaps even of reality itself, hung in the balance. The final confrontation with the Void Walkers was at hand, and the universe would never be the same. Triumph of unity and understanding. The interior of the Void Walker facility was a nightmarish blend of organic and mechanical architecture. Pulsing veins of energy coursed through walls that seemed to breathe, and gravity shifted unpredictably as they moved deeper into the complex. Finn, Zara, and the rest of Operation Starbreak moved swiftly and silently through the corridors, their diverse skills complementing each other perfectly. Lara's psionic abilities guided them past patrols, while Grax's expert marksmanship neutralized any threats they couldn't avoid. As they approached the heart of the facility, Dr. Santu's tentacles writhed with excitement. "The energy readings are off the charts," he whispered, his bioluminescent skin flickering rapidly. "Whatever they're doing, it's happening soon." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the complex. "Intruder alert," a mechanized voice boomed. "All personnel to battle stations. Initiate Project Awakening." "So much for the element of surprise," Finn muttered, readying his plasma rifle. Zara's scales shifted to a determined blue. "We need to hurry. If they succeed in their plan..." They didn't need to finish the thought. The team broke into a run, heading towards a central chamber where the energy readings were strongest. As they burst through the final set of doors, they were met with a sight that defied comprehension. A massive portal, easily 100 meters across, swirled before them. Unlike the quantum singularity they had encountered before, this seemed to be a tear in the very fabric of reality. And through that tear, something was coming. "By all that's holy," Commander Mira breathed, her fur standing on end. "What have they done?" A figure stepped forward from the group of Void Walkers operating the machinery. He was tall, with skin that seemed to shift and change like oil on water. "You're too late," he said, his voice resonating with an otherworldly timbre. "The Great Old One awakens. A new age for the universe is at hand." Finn raised his weapon, but Zara placed a hand on his arm. "Wait," she said, her scientific mind racing. "You don't understand what you're doing. The energy required to maintain that portal, it'll tear this dimension apart." The Void Walker leader laughed. "A small price to pay for ascension. Our new master will remake reality in its image, and we shall be its chosen." As if in response to his words, a massive tentacle began to emerge from the portal. The air itself seemed to warp and twist around it, reality struggling to accommodate something that simply did not belong. "We need to shut it down," Finn shouted over the increasing roar of the portal. Dr. Santu was already moving, his tentacles interfacing with the alien technology. "I'm trying, but the system is fighting me. It's like it has a mind of its own." Zara joined him, her 4 hands flying over the controls. "The portal is self-sustaining now. We need to overload it, force it to collapse in on itself." As the rest of the team engaged the Void Walkers in battle, Finn, Zara, and Dr. Santu worked frantically to reverse the portal's polarity. The chamber shook violently, equipment sparking and exploding around them. "It's not enough," Zara cried, her scales pulsing with stress. "We need more power." Finn looked around desperately, his eyes landing on the horizon, visible through a massive viewport. "The ship," he said, an idea forming. "If we overload its quantum drive and send it into the portal." Zara's eyes widened as she realized what he was suggesting. "Finn, no. The feedback loop could destroy everything within a light year." "Do we have a choice?" Finn asked, meeting her gaze. For a moment, time seemed to stand still. Then, with a determined nod, Zara began the calculations. "I'll need to stay here to coordinate the timing," she said. "Then I'll pilot the ship," Finn replied, his voice tight with emotion. As Finn turned to leave, Zara grabbed his arm. Without a word, she pulled him close, pressing her forehead to his in a gesture of deep connection. "Come back to me," she whispered. "Wild horses couldn't stop me," Finn replied with a lopsided grin, though his eyes shone with unshed tears. As Finn raced to the horizon, the battle raged on. The tentacled horror emerging from the portal was growing larger by the second, its very presence warping the minds of those nearby. Aboard the horizon, Finn pushed the engines to their limit, aiming the ship directly at the heart of the portal. "Now, Zara," he shouted into the comm. With split-second timing, Zara and Dr. Santu reversed the portal's polarity just as the horizon's overloading quantum drive made contact. There was a moment of absolute silence, followed by a flash of light brighter than 1,000 suns. The resulting implosion was spectacular. The portal collapsed in on itself, dragging the emerging horror back into whatever dark dimension it had come from. The Void Walker facility crumbled, reality itself seeming to heal in the wake of the dimensional tear. As the dust settled, Zara frantically searched the debris. "Finn," she called, her voice cracking with emotion. "Finn." For a heart-stopping moment, there was no response. Then, from beneath a pile of rubble, came a weak groan. "You know," Finn's voice said as Zara and the others rushed to uncover him, "I'm starting to think this hero business isn't all it's cracked up to be." As they pulled him free, battered but alive, Zara couldn't contain herself. She wrapped all 4 arms around Finn, her scales glowing with joy and relief. In the days that followed, as the galactic community grappled with the revelations of the Void Walker threat, Finn and Zara found themselves hailed as heroes. But for them, the greatest triumph was not the defeat of an otherworldly horror, but the bonds they had forged with each other and with beings from across the cosmos. As they stood on the observation deck of a new ship, christened Unity, Finn turned to Zara. "So, what's next?" he asked, a glint of adventure in his eyes. Zara's scales shimmered with excitement. "The universe is vast, my friend. And now, thanks to what we've learned, we understand just how much more there is to explore." Finn grinned, taking one of Zara's hands in his own. "Well then, partner, shall we see what's out there?" As the Unity set course for the unknown, Finn and Zara stood side by side, a living testament to the power of unity, understanding, and the unquenchable spirit of exploration that bound all sentient beings together in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. The end.